Nobody wants to talk about this, but it's important because we all have to go through losing a furry family member one day. Today is Rainbow Bridge Remembrance Day, and if you are struggling with your loss, I have so much support for you in this video. Special guest interviews, tips from experts, and advice from people who have gone through it. I wish I had known all of this years ago. You do not have to go through this alone. My guest is Dr. Nick Labriola, who graduated from North Carolina State University and started his career with Lab of Love, focusing primarily on end-of-life care. He believes that giving animals a peaceful end-of-life transition is the most loving thing we can do for them. Hi, Dr. Nick. I'm so happy that you have time to talk with me today. Most of your career, you have been working with Lab of Love. And yes, that is really quite something. You have to have a certain personality and to deal with the death of pets and the mourning of people, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited to talk with you about this. And let's start maybe with one question that many people have. What are the common diseases that older cats have that you come across?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm so excited that you're excited to talk about these things because it's important, and I feel like we don't talk about these things enough.
Right.
So yeah, very happy to to be talking about this with you. But yeah, anyway, common diseases, the big things for cats: kidney disease. Mm-hmm. The medical term is renal failure. That's very common in all cats, especially aging cats, and it can sometimes start at a young age. So renal failure is super common in all cats. They can get cancer in their stomach and intestines. That's called GI lymphoma. That's a very common type of cancer they get as they age. Those are the two really big ones that stick out in my mind when someone asks me about diseases of older cats. Mm-hmm. The kidney issues and the gut issues. Those are the big things.
Okay, so why do you think a kidney issue is such a predominant problem in cats?
Yeah, so that's the question. As veterinarians, we're still not 100% sure. The best we can tell is that it's strictly a genetic thing because there are some breeds where it shows up more commonly. For example, Siamese cats seem to get it even more often than usual. And this is a thing even in other cats, even in big cats like tigers, cougars, lions, all them, even cats beyond our domestic pet cats, we do still see it show up. So as far as we can tell, it's just a genetic thing.
Yeah. Okay, so how do families know that it is time to say goodbye to their pet?
Yeah, so above all else, that is that is a really big question, and everybody will tell you something different. Of course, there's a lot of opinion that goes on with that question, but for me personally, all I need to hear is that, oh, she's not herself anymore. She doesn't enjoy anything anymore. She's so sad all the time. I'm not seeing him in there. When I start hearing those things, that's when I know it's progressed to a point where it's appropriate to proceed. Because you can tell me about the medical condition all day, but as soon as you tell me that he's not himself, she's not herself, then I know something's really wrong.
Right. That's true. And it is such you offer such a great service because home euthanasia. I mean, I did not even know about this until recently. So I really like this. So tell me, what are the advantages? I mean, it is obvious. Give me a few advantages to do it at home rather than in a clinic or.
Yeah, the big things, a couple things, just your pet is more relaxed because they're in their own environment, not scared, not anxious. They're just at home where they usually are. So there's just a lot less anxiety. Your other pets can see. So there's a lot less anxiety from your other pets because they see and they know what happened and they're going to understand why that one pet is not there anymore. That's huge. And the lack of car rides, some pets hate the car and you avoid all that.
Yeah.
You don't have to put them in the car and bring them somewhere.
Right, right. That's very good. And how do you make the pets comfortable at home to get ready? You know?
Yeah, so you mean like before their appointment?
Yes. Like
Yeah,
no,
so
I mean in the last moments, like when you're there, like
oh yeah.
how do you make them comfortable?
Well, so from a medical standpoint, I do give them really, really strong sedatives and pain meds before I do anything. So
Hmm.
as far as the actual euthanasia procedure, they don't feel that at all. They have no idea I'm even doing that. So there's that. And then from the less technical standpoint, just really, I let them be wherever they want. They don't need to be in a certain area for me to do this procedure. It's very straightforward. I don't need a lot of space or anything. They don't need to be on a table or in a bed or whatever. If they want to be in the corner of your bedroom closet, just let them be. That's fine. I'll go in there. It's fine.
Yes.
So it's really a lot of it is just about letting them do whatever they need to do to be comfortable. Because, when even for us, when we're really sick, not feeling good, we just want our space. We don't want someone constantly messing with us and everything. And it's the same for them. Sometimes it's best to just let them lay where they want to lay, eat what they want to eat. Don't force anything on them.
Right, right. So if somebody decides they want to go with that and they call you up, how do they prepare for the appointment? Is there anything specific that you recommend?
Yeah, so there's nothing that we need you to do. You can do literally nothing to prepare, and that's totally fine. But if you want to do more, it's really just about having an idea of where you want to be. If you do really really want your pet in a certain area or on a certain bed or something like that, just preparing ahead of time for that, so it's not like a last minute thing for them. Um, they can eat whatever they want the day of. So I mean, I know we're talking about cats, but people always feed their dogs chocolate.
Right.
So whatever they want to eat, all the table food they weren't allowed to have, spoil them with whatever they want. um, yeah, they can have anything, and then just knowing what you're going to do with your other animals. If your other animals aren't good with people, they can be in a separate room, and then we can let them out afterward when I'm outside or something. Just technical stuff like that. But again, there's nothing required to do beforehand.
Yeah. So my last question is actually after the pet is gone. Okay, you are done with your work. Are you right away leaving? Are you kind of helping the pet parents to, I don't know, can you help them? Can you say something
Yeah,
to them? Yeah.
yeah. So that's kind of up to them, really. Some people prefer that it's very quick, straightforward, and I'm in and out. And some people really need to sit and talk with me for a while. I mean, I've been in people's homes for like over 2 hours before.
Yeah.
Just talking. So it's really whatever you need. I'm fine either way. I'm happy to discuss it. Through doing hospice, through working with Lap of Love, I've become very, very comfortable with the idea of death
Yeah.
and death as a concept. Death is not scary to me anymore. It's not confusing to me anymore. So I'm really happy to discuss those things if someone needs that. Just to kind of calm those nerves and everything.
Right. Oh, that is fantastic. See, because that's you don't get in the clinic either. You're in and out,
Yes, yeah.
right? I mean, there's not much there.
Yeah, and that's one reason why I'm so passionate about doing it in the home, because when I was doing it in the clinic, I used to hate it. I hated this procedure. I didn't like doing it in the clinic. I always felt like I was rushing. I felt bad for the families because I felt like I was rushing them. And, all that is not a factor. Now I can spend all the time I need with them and do it exactly the way I want to do it. And yeah.
Yeah, no, I think this is a fantastic service. So when people want to find you, how do they find you? Website, Instagram, Facebook, whatever.
Yeah, I mean the best thing would probably be Instagram. That's the app that I'm most active on.
Okay.
I'm not super active on social media, but I kind of go in and out. Sometimes I really am. Sometimes I'm really not.
So what's your Instagram handle?
So it's just real Dr. Nick with a period after doctor. So it's real Dr. period Nick.
Yeah,
That's it.
I put a link in the description box below the video when it's up.
Cool.
And the website, Lap of Love.
Oh yeah. The Lap of Love website is great. You can schedule with me right from that website. The number to our support center that schedules appointments is all over the website. So yeah, it's very easy to get in touch with me in that capacity through the website.
Right. And it's lapoflove.com?
Yes. Yep. Just lapoflove.com.
There you go. All right. Well, Dr. Nick, thank you so much for talking with me today. This is a very important topic, and I really enjoyed this. This is something that
So did I.
like. Okay. Thank you so much. How do you honor and remember your beloved furry friend? Most veterinary hospitals offer to care for them, but for so many of us, it is a very emotional moment when you lose them. So you may want to explore other options. And they are compassionate companies that provide individual pet cremation services. These companies handle the pickup of your pet and also ensure their ashes are safely returned to you. As a thoughtful gesture, the ashes are delivered in a beautiful chest, accompanied by a special keepsake and your pet's paw print in clay. For those who desire closure, some companies even allow you to say goodbye at their facility before the cremation. When our cat Chopin passed away, we trusted very important pet mortuary located here in Los Angeles. However, there are numerous nationwide services available to assist you during this difficult time. This is an option you may want to consider. Stephanie Rodriguez is a certified grief counselor and thanatologist specializing in child and adolescent grief and animal companion loss support. She has been a practicing grief counselor, support group facilitator, death midwife, and end-of-life speaker and educator since 2004. Stephanie provides individual, couples, and family group grief counseling for all types of loss, including disenfranchised, traumatic, cumulative, collective, complicated, prolonged, and anticipatory grief. She appears frequently on grief podcasts and as a featured speaker at grief seminars. Hi, Stephanie, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for asking me. I'm honored to be here with you.
Thank you. I am so happy and delighted to talk with you. You are a grief counselor, and it takes a certain type of person to be able to do this and get into this. So you deal with people with all kinds of, like different griefs, because everybody grieves differently. First, and it can be difficult. So first, let me ask you, how did you get into this?
Oh my goodness, that's a much longer story than we have time for.
Well, try.
Yeah, let me see if I can't give you the short version. Last month, I celebrated my 19th anniversary as a grief counselor. Mm-hmm. And it's actually a third career for me. I did not start out to be a counselor, but I have I've done a lot of work with the dying and been really fascinated by death ever since I was a teenager, and not in like a gothic emo kind of way, just really truly fascinated by it. And my life was full of illness and death, and I came into contact with it a lot. And so in about 2004, the opportunity came for me to take a shift career-wise, and I found myself in a place where I began to volunteer with a human hospice. And within the first 6 months of doing that, I was given the chance to join them as a professional. And that's how I started down the road of actually becoming a grief counselor.
Wow. Fabulous. I mean, again, this is a really admirable work that you do. So how do you comfort people? Again, everybody grieves differently. How do you comfort them?
Well, believe it or not, comforting is not my primary goal.
Okay.
Of course, I want to be able to comfort people, but that's really not my goal. Comfort is something that hopefully you can get from family and from friends.
Okay.
My role is to be more of a companion, I tell my clients that I'm here to turn the lights on.
So she helped me in a lot of ways. I'd actually had a lot of loss within a short time. And she helped me not only deal with the fact that I had lost, and it's not, talking to someone's not going to make the pain go away, but it helps you, find ways to, I guess, deal with it and
Right.
not suffer,
Right.
and then to find ways to keep them in your daily life. So she was able to give me little tips that, could keep it as if, they're still more of a part of me and they're not just gone, whether it's saying goodnight to them, or like when I got new cats, getting to tell them stories about the big brothers and sisters that they didn't get to meet. And it's just finding ways to incorporate them.
Yes.
And that was very helpful for me.
I want to provide information, fact-based, experience-based information that isn't a platitude, isn't a meme, isn't something that someone's just read on the internet, and that someone says just try it because they don't know what else to say. So a lot of what I have to offer my clients is not necessarily comforting. One of the first things being that you are supposed to be in this much pain. This is the natural and appropriate state of grief. And everybody does come to me hoping that I can make them feel better. I can't. That's not what my role is, and that's really not what this is supposed to be about. That's not what grief is about.
Right. So do you have, since everybody is like, the characters are so different of each person, the personality, how do you, do you have different recommendations for each person, or is there something like general? How do you approach this?
Well, that's an excellent question, because grief, first of all, is full of paradoxes. Grief is so many contradictory things all wrapped up into one. Grief is chaotic. But one of those paradoxes is that the experience of grief is at one and the same time the most individual of experiences, and yet the most universal of experiences.
Right.
Because every being that lives is going to grieve sooner or later. You may think that you won't. You may try to live, as Thoreau said, like an island unto yourself, but you can't. If all you grieve is the loss of a plant, before you die, you will grieve. But the experience of that grief is individual, not just to you as an individual human being, but to each individual loss, because what we're grieving is a relationship.
Right.
So while there are certain generalities that I can and do share with everyone, for the most part, I am very focused on trying to speak to the individual within their actual individual experience of loss.
Wow. Yes. Okay. So this is more like a calling than a job, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Does this satisfy you? Is that
Oh.
It does.
Oh, I really sometimes, because like I said, this was a third career for me.
Right.
Actually, in my youth, I was an actress and a singer. And then I spent a number of years in the financial services world, of all things.
Oh, totally different.
It's
Yeah.
completely different.
That doesn't make sense to me when I see you.
No, that's why I said it's such a long story.
Yeah.
But now when I was in the arts, I did get a lot of satisfaction from that.
Yeah.
The years in financial services almost killed me, literally.
I get it. I get it. Yeah.
Almost killed me. This is, I go to bed every night, and I realize not that many people get to do this, but I go to bed every night knowing that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
This is who I am. This is what I'm supposed to do. And that's a tremendous blessing. It's a tremendous blessing.
It can't get better than that.
No, it can't.
So you said, like in the beginning, that you have been dealing with death like for a long time. The grief counseling for cats, pets,
Yes.
and so on. How long have you been doing that part?
Well, a little bit for the entire 19 years, because when I was in human hospice, I was part of each hospice that I worked with. Part of their service back to the community was to make me available to the community at large to help with grief support. So it was not unusual for someone to wind up in my office with the loss of an animal companion, and certainly not unusual to experience the loss of a human and an animal in very close conjunction and wind up in the office with me. But to speak more to what you're talking about, I believe that it's been a primary focus. Animal companion loss has been since about 2017 for me, that I have just really been more and more and more focused on animal loss.
So now, that's a controversial question. Do you think somebody can grieve for their pet as much as they can grieve for a human person?
More. I believe people can grieve more, because you want to remember what we're talking about in grief is we're grieving a relationship. So it is not at all unusual for someone to come to me and say, my father died 15 years ago, and I did not grieve the way that I am grieving for my cat. What's wrong with me? And the first thing that I do is I ask, what was your relationship with your father? What was that like? And then what has been your relationship with this cat? What was that like? Because ultimately, that's what's going to happen. We grieve the relationship, and we grieve in direct proportion to that relationship, to how much we love, to the intensity of the bond.
Right.
So it's possible to have an extremely intense bond with an animal just as easily, and many times more easily, with an animal than with a human.
Right, because like your pet, your companion is with you every day, right?
Yes.
And you have the routines that you go through every day, as opposed to humans. Unless it's your life partner who's also there every day, it's probably more not impactful, right?
Yes.
More, yeah. I understand. Okay, so this is great. Stephanie, last question is, how can people find you if they're grieving right now? How can they find you?
Well, the best thing to do is to go to my website, which is embracingyourgrief.com. From there, you can schedule a session with me, an individual session with me. I've recently started monthly support groups. So that you just go to embracingyourgrief.com. The first thing that will come up will say schedule any session, join a support group, or schedule me for like what we're doing, an interview or an appearance at a seminar or something, because I do a lot of that too. So, and then there are other things on the website. There are links to my social media. I do a lot of social media talking about grief and loss. And I have a page full of testimonials. I also have there something that I call the Remember Wall, which is a place where, and you don't have to have been a client of mine. It's open to anyone. You can fill out a form and send me a photograph of your beloved dead, and I will put it on the wall. It's a memorial wall so that people can, and I have people who like to just go to the wall and scroll through and just see the pictures and read what's said about them. So yeah, but all that is just right there at embracingyourgrief.com.
I definitely would recommend. I think it's the only thing that kept me able to function. She just really gave me a lot of tips to help, regain my balance after the loss.
embracingyourgrief.com.
Great. And all your social media is on that website as well. Everybody
it is. And just search or just look for at Embracing Your Grief. My two primary ones are TikTok and YouTube. But I also have a Facebook page and an Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Stephanie. As I said, this was really delightful, and I hope, and I'm pretty sure that people that are grieving right now, that they will contact you. Well, thank you so much for this interview.
Petra, thank you for all you do.
Alia Zobel-Nolan is an internationally published author of 150 plus books. Her work ranges from the divine to the feline and includes titles like Cat Confessions, A Kitty Come Clean Tell-All Book, or why a cat is still better than a man, and so many more. A former Reader's Digest children's publishing senior editor, she collaborated with the Irma Wombeck Writers Workshop to publish Laugh Out Loud with 40 funny EBWW humorists. She is a member and past director of the Cat Writers Association and the proud mother of 2 fur babies, Nolan and Colleen Fiona Shannon Nolan, and more recently a rescue dog named Miss Kitty. Alia, thank you so much that you spent the time, with me today to be here on my channel and talk a little bit about your book, Heavenly Headbuds, which is really cute. So I have a few questions. Let's dive right in. You usually write like humorous books about cats and Bible books for children. So what prompted you to tackle such a serious topic?
Okay, 1 minute. Here she comes. She's going to be jumping. She's going to be jumping up. So I just heard the jingle jangle. So, well, you're right. I always used to. I still do. I write humorous books because these animals that we're living with provide us with a lot of material. But I lost 3 cats in a row. I've always had. Here we go. See, there she is.
Yes, how cute.
Yes. So, I've what are you doing? I've always had cats, and the last 3 I had happened to pass away within a couple of months of each other. And it was really devastating to me. There were 3 of them, and boom, 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 one right after the other. I was really devastated. You never get over it. You just get on with it. And I was trying to get on with it because this has happened to me many times. It happens to all cat lovers or animal lovers. When the animals pass, you just feel a part of you is gone. So I was looking. When things like this happen to me, I kind of like to look in books. I get a solace from books. And I was looking on Amazon and looking on bookstores, trying to find something that would get me out of my grief, just even for a minute. But I couldn't find. What I was finding was all of these people who had stories like me about their journey with their cats and their sickness and everything. And that was the last thing I really wanted to read.
Right.
So I decided I would write the book that I was looking for. And that's how that came about. I've never written anything like this, but I felt I had to get it out there.
So how long did it take you to put this all together?
Well, the book was in my thoughts and in my brain and simmering around for about 8 years. And I had first put it together and gave it to my agent to see if we could get a publisher. But it seems a lot of the traditional religious publishers don't believe that cats have souls. Here she comes. Cats have souls. And so they're a little touchy on that. So we couldn't interest the publisher in this. So my regular religious publishers. So I put it away and I let it simmer for a while. And after my cats passed away, I needed a release. I wanted to, write the book as much for myself as for other people, to sort of help me through the grief. But as luck would have it, it was the pandemic. And everything was dark and gloomy and sad, and people were dying right and left. And I tried to write the book, and there was no way. I mean, it was like, no way, I can't do it now. Put it away again. And then in 2022, I took it out and I said, I have to write this book. I have to do it, and I have to do it now. So that's when I began it. And it took about, I want to say, 9 months, like a baby. It took about 9 months or 10 or 11 to finally get it all in good shape and on Amazon. So, so people could get it, because, I belong to the Cat Writers Association, as do you, I think.
Yes.
And every day we get these messages from Facebook, this one's cat's died and that one's cat's died. And I wanted to get the book out. There she goes. I wanted to get the book out to
Yes.
help people. A lot of people say, oh, they want their book to help people. But I've sent it to some people who have lost their animals. And they thanked me from the bottom of their hearts, because they said it really helped them step out, even for the time it took to read the book. It helped them step out of their grief. They weren't thinking about it. They might have shed a tear or two, but the book gave them expectation. It gave them hope. Whether you believe or you don't believe, that's up to you.
Right.
So,
Right.
So that's how long it took me to put this book together. Like I said,
It was a baby.
it was a baby. It took, and it was just. I've never had children, but this was as painful, I'm sure, or maybe not, than having kids. My kids are my cats.
Yes. Yeah. How many cats do you have?
I only have 2 now. After the 3, I had 2, and then they were all passed away, and I had to stop for a minute. People say, don't rush out and get a cat right away. But for me, I'm a solitary person. I sit in my room all day long. The cats are my companions. They're my proofreaders. If they don't like something, they'll throw up a hairball on it. If they like something, they'll be purring and saying, "Yes, Mom, I really like that." So
Right.
And I kept looking down at the floor. You know how you do. You look around for them. And when they're not there, it's hard. So I went.
Trust me, I
went
know.
and I, yeah, it is. I've never been more than a month without a cat.
I can't, and I don't want to do it. I just,
right. Yeah.
That's why I have like cats in different age groups, so to say.
Oh, good idea. Right.
They're not all the same age. Many of them
Right.
are, unfortunately, but like, let's hope they all get very old. But I know what you're talking about, and the grief is real, and it's very severe. It can be very
severe. People often say, "Oh, it's just a cat," and they do it with dogs. "Oh, it's just a dog." For what I always say, maybe for you that's the way you think, and I recognize that, and but for me, the animal is more than an animal. It's part of my life.
Right.
So, and you grieve just as much for an animal, if not more, than you do for a person. Now, I'll probably get a lot of fan mail from that, saying no, but for people who don't have children or whatever, they, to them, their animals are their children. So
I get it. Yeah.
It's just as
this very cute little thing. I know. I'm the same way. I don't have children, and for us, my husband and me, it's like really, they are the children.
Right.
They are our life. I mean, they rule our lives.
No, you are so right. I never had a dog because I always had cats. I write about cats. But my husband's from Ireland, and he wanted, he never said we have to have a dog, but I couldn't stand the idea of them barking, and they hump your leg, and they do all these things, and they make all this noise and everything, and I can't be doing, I can't be having that happen while I'm writing. So I have a rescue where I got these babies from, and they also have dogs. So I said, "Do you have any dogs that don't bark?" So the woman says to me, "Dogs bark. That's what they do. You're not going to get a dog that doesn't bark. There might be some dogs that bark less, but dogs bark." So she was sending me all these pictures of these beautiful animals that I don't know how they ever wind up in rescues. I don't know. But this one, she sent me a picture of it, and it just, I don't know. I went over there because I want to look at it because my husband would be there and he'd be adopting all of the dogs, So I just went over there, and that was it. And it's a miracle because this dog, who is from South Carolina, a rescue dog who is in a puppy mill, does not bark. She does not bark. That's why I know it's from heaven. I know it's from heaven, seriously, because my husband said once he heard her bark, he takes her out and there was a coyote. Oh, so the dog was barking more, I think, to show the coyote that she was protecting my husband than, but at home, the doorbell rings, no barking. Wow. The people come from Amazon, no barking. The people do the lawn, no barking. And I thank God every day. I said, you sent me this barkless dog, Yes. And I never thought I would say this. The cat lady says, I love that dog. It's just, I never thought I would say such a thing, because normally I really don't. I think I love all animals, but I love cats better. Let's put it that way.
No,
but I never had a dog, so this is and guess what her name is?
What is her name?
Her name is Miss Kitty.
Miss Kitty. I thought it was cat. Okay, Miss Kitty. That's awesome.
Kitty, because my husband was going around to the dog. Here, Kitty. So we said, well, that's a perfect name.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So, okay, let's go back to your book.
Right.
You have photos in your book as opposed to illustrations. Why did you choose photos?
Well, an illustrator, first of all, would take a long time to do this. To paint and illustrate everything, would take a long time. That's number one. Number two, nowadays you have phones that have photos on them, Instagram, Facebook, everything is photos. So I said, what am I knocking my head against the wall trying to find the right illustrator when I can use photographs? Right. So I started looking at photographs, trying to illustrate the exact text. There's a part in there about Noah and a part in there about the Garden of Eden and other things, and I was trying to match some of the photos that didn't have cats in them to the text, and it wasn't working because the photos were different palettes and different lighting and composition, and it looked like a mishmash. So I said, now what do I do? So I went back to the drawing board and I said, what is this book about? The book is about cats. So that's all you need in the book are photos, relatable, sympathetic photos of cats. So once I started doing that, I wasn't trying to match, like when you write a children's book, you're supposed to match the text with what's going on in the page. But this is an adult book, and what the photos that I tried to get, that I did get, were relatable. I keep using that word, but it's the only word. When you look at them, you shake your head. Yes, I know that. I know there's a picture of a woman sitting having coffee and she's talking to her cat. We do that. I mean, I sit with my coffee in the morning and they're around me and I talk to them, And there's another photo of a girl taking a picture on her phone of the cat who's on the counter where she's not supposed to be, but she's laughing. The girl is laughing because, how can you get them off? What are you going to do? And so you just have to laugh and take a picture. And that's what she did. So it was really all of the photos. And I had to limit myself because once I started looking at these photos, there were so many that were really good. I had to pare them down, to make sure.
Where did you get all those photos?
Well, the photos came from a stock house. And there's I went to like 3 different stock houses, iStock and Shutterstock, and but my girlfriend volunteers for a rescue, and she has a blog called Sundays at the Shelter, and she is unbelievable how she gets these cats to keep their eyes open and to pause, to pose for her. I just don't know how she does it, but her photos are magnificent. So I asked her, would you mind, hey, do you mind being in the book? And she said, absolutely not. And I must have looked at her blog since 1999. That's how, long and hundreds of photos. I picked out some that I really liked and we included them. And she has a way with taking animal photos. She does it with, some people are just, I don't know whether they do something in their mind meld with the animal, but she took beautiful photos. So they are in the book, and
that's fantastic. So
worked out.
What kind of research did you do for your book? What did you do to?
Okay, so I looked in scripture first to see if I could find, and there's nothing in scripture says animals will go to heaven. Okay. So I looked in scripture to find out how God used animals, not necessarily a cat, but how he used animals in a lot of his plans. Noah, the Garden of Eden, there's animals in Revelations, the last book of the Bible. So I took quotes and information out of the scriptures. I also went to theologians and experts, C.S. Lewis and George MacDonald. These are experts and theologians who study stuff like this.
Yeah.
And I looked, some of them did not believe that animals have souls, so ergo they can't go to heaven. But I didn't believe that. So I was looking for theologians and people who did, including the Pope, who had my same train of thought, who believed that God put an essence, a spirit into these animals, and it's not going to just evaporate, it's going to stay forever and ever. God doesn't do something and then change his mind the next day. So when I had all of these, I was very happy to see that they agreed with what I agreed with. And I also put what they thought and I put what I thought. But I wasn't proselytizing. I didn't say, you must believe that cats go to heaven or you'll go to hell. I just said, here's the information. Yes. Here's what I found out. And I was thrilled to find out some of these things. Here's the quotations. I gave them the, wait 1 second. I gave them the places where they could find out more information. And I laid it all out and I said, you be the judge. That's what I did. I didn't say you must believe, but I gave them the reasons why these people believed, and they are much smarter than I am. And I gave them my reasons. And I said, at the end, you be the judge. I left it up to them.
That's great. So what do you think? Like, is this book mostly for people that lost a cat or a pet, or is it for every cat lover?
Well, that's the $64,000 question. Everybody asks me that question because they say, "Oh, this book is not for me because it's about grieving your cat, and my cat's alive." We will all go through this if we have animals.
Yeah.
And as I said before, some of us have gone through it more than once, like myself. I just wanted to lay out a bit of hope, a bit of expectation. I wanted the people to be able to get out of their grief for, even as I said before, a couple of minutes, a half an hour. Read these, what other people thought. Here's the information. I want you to, because, maybe you don't have time to go online and find out what all these theologians said. So Here's the information.
Right. So it's kind of, so hope is actually what you want readers to get out of
right.
this.
And expectation too. And, there's some humor in it because I'm a humorist and I cannot not put humor in the book. It may make you shed a tear. A friend of mine said that her husband was reading it and felt a little misty. But it's, if you're interested in, your animal and what they're made up of and how they enhance your life, you will know and you will believe that this isn't the end of their story. So as I said, I was laying out the information, and it's good for people who who are grieving, but it's also good for anyone who's interested in it, the topic of cats and eternity.
Right. So after all your research that you've done, would you say, yes, we will see our cats in heaven?
In heaven. Well, I would absolutely, definitely say yes. But as I said, I believe at the end of the book, there's 3 spreads that say, I believe, I believe, I believe, but like I said, it's up to you. But as far as I'm concerned, from all of the information and from what I believe with my faith, and the way, the way that cats have enhanced my knowledge of God. You can't look at a cat and not know that, a cat is preening in the sun and their fur looks like spun sugar. You know that it didn't just all of a sudden appear, that somebody had to create it. So for me, yes, I definitely believe. But as I said, it's an individual thing, and people have to come to that knowledge of belief for themselves. And this will help. This book will help.
Yes. So, okay, if somebody just lost their cat, or they just want to check out your book, where can you get it?
Well, I just so happen to have a copy here. Can you see it?
Yes, I can.
When I was first starting out, I had this author friend, and she said, always carry your book with you. If it's in your pocketbook or in your underpants, wherever, always keep a copy of your book ready to show people. So you can get the book on Amazon, and you can get it at a lot of bookstores, and you can also get it as an ebook on Kindle. So yes, and it also, I might add, makes a great gift to a person that you don't know what to say to. When people die and when animals die, people get tongue-tied. They don't know what to say or what to do. They're so, they feel so badly. This is something that you can give to someone as, out of respect for their grief, and it can help them.
Right.
So yes, that's where you can get. I don't do anything out of my website because, you'd be all day long going to the post office and back and forth. So everything is on Amazon.
Right. Okay.
And
so since you're talking about your website, where can people find you if they're looking for you?
Okay, it's very easy. www.aliawrites.com. That's simple, and it's just my name and rights.
Okay, and I'm going to put that link in the description box below the video so that everyone
that's great.
That's
great.
So, any other cat books that you want to mention?
Any other cat books? I was going to say sit down, but you are sitting. So the latest one that I have is called "Why a Cat is Still Better Than a Man." Now that's not male bashing. It's cat enhancing, I say. It's all in fun, and it just has one-liners and very funny cartoons by Nicole Hollander, and it just says things like a cat isn't interested in cleavage unless it's big enough to sleep in. Or a cat would never wear a pinky ring, or a cat would never never put a moose head in the living room. They're just very fun things.
Okay.
And so that's the latest one. And I'm working on a children's reader that the title is called Why Can't My Brother Be More Like My Cat?
Aww.
And I'm starting that in September. It's going to be a reader, so kids can learn to read and learn to love cats and find out why they're better than their brother.
Aw. So all of those books, all of your books, you can get on Amazon, right? So
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and you can check them out on the website. There's some of them are more recent than others, but they're all of them, including the Bible books and the humor books, a lot of adult humor. And I have devotionals. I have you name it, I have it. So they're on there.
Awesome. Well, Alia, this is fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm sure everybody is going to love this. And
I hope so.
Okay, thank you.
Eterneva is the Ashes to Diamond company that offers a meaningful way to keep our loved ones close and their memories alive. Eterneva grows gorgeous, genuine diamonds from ashes that help people have a positive way forward with their loved ones. My guest today is Adele Archer, CEO and co-founder of Eterneva. Adele and her business partner started Eterneva, named Consumer Startup of the Year by the Stevie Awards, and featured on Shark Tank, receiving investment from none other than Mark Cuban. Hi Adele, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today here on my channel. And I look forward to speaking with you because I have heard about Eterneva for a long time, and I wanted to hear more about it. It's so hard losing a pet, and it's heartbreaking because they are with you all day. They walk with you, they sit with you, they sleep with you, they are around you, and then all of a sudden they are gone. Yeah. So I like the idea. So my first question is, like, just in general, how does the process work? How do you turn ashes into a diamond?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for having me, and I'm just so delighted to get to share Eterneva with your audience, and just know that this is an option, because that's something that a lot of people tell us is like, man, I really wish I knew that I could do this before I made a decision of what to do with my loved one or pet's ashes. So yeah, I mean, basically how our process works is we send our families a welcome kit, which has everything that they need to package up half a cup of ashes. That's what we ask for, which is usually a lot less than what they're getting back when their pet is cremated. And from that amount, we can actually grow multiple diamonds. So a lot of the time, we'll be purifying carbon. We store it for our families. So if ever, God forbid, a diamond is lost, or maybe they want to make multiple diamonds, we're able to do that from a relatively small amount of ashes. So when they return the kit, that's usually when we start the process. And then from there, to put it simply, there's a lot that goes into it, but to put it simply, it takes about a year to do. And we're going through a number of different stages. So first, we're extracting the carbon from the ashes or fur. So we can actually also do this from fur, because there's carbon in fur, there's carbon in ashes. And so we're extracting that carbon. And then from that carbon, that is going to be what we're using to grow the diamond. So that purity stage is super important, really, really involved itself. Then we go to grow the diamond, and that's using high pressure, high temperature. Just like a diamond's grown under the earth, we have these incredible machines that are replicating those conditions and growing a rough diamond, a raw diamond. We harvest that out of the machine after we're finished growing. We then will map out where the diamond is going to be in the rough diamond, and we hand cut it. We will then have all of our diamonds certified, authenticated, graded. If our customer wants to do a certain color of diamond, we can go through a coloration process and do pretty much any color they want to do. And then at the end, we will package things up and, be ready for our homecoming. So that's going to end the actual process itself, the science. Yeah. And as we go, we also provide a whole experience around it. So that's a really big piece of it too, is like involving you in the process and getting to be a part of all those milestones.
Right. Wow, this is fantastic. You answered already a lot of my questions. So how much ashes do you need, or fur? I mean, like just a small amount? Like how much is it? Like a teaspoon? Or I mean, how much do you need?
Yeah, so we ask for half a cup. We can do it with a bit less. So in some cases, we might have some families who had a really small pet, and maybe they don't quite have that much. Like we'll be able to support them, and we kind of look at the quantity together and we'll guide them. But generally speaking, we request half a cup. If it's fur, then it's kind of like a healthy handful. that we request.
Okay.
And in our welcome kit, it has, a variety of different measurements. So we support our families every step of the way and just making sure they're sending us enough.
Great. And can you mix the ashes with the fur in case they don't have enough of each? You can?
Absolutely. And we also see actually a lot of owners will say, you know what, like I actually would love for the diamond to be the both of us together. So in some cases, we see them having a bit of their pet's ashes and then adding a bit of their own hair. So it's like the both of you together in the diamond. So that's another option too.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
The process takes about a year, right?
Yep.
So, why does it take so long?
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of science that goes into this. So, and a lot of different steps involved. We work on one individual at a time. So it's not like we're growing, big batches of diamonds. We're growing one diamond in a machine at a time. We're working on one loved one at a time. Chain of custody is really, really, really important to us. We're actually the only US-based company that, just end to end, like the transparency and the care that goes into it. It's a very bespoke process, kind of similar to like commissioning a custom piece of art. It's a custom personal diamond into it.
Wow, that is so cool. So Eterniva, why would you choose Eterniva as a client as opposed to other options to do pet ashes jewelry?
Yeah, absolutely. So there, I would say one of the first things that we actually started this company after I lost somebody that I really love, and that was on, she was my business mentor. So that was on the human side.
Yeah.
But, basically we didn't think that this was a company we were going to start. Like I had no idea. We were actually working on a regular lab grown diamond startup. And right as we were starting that company, Tracy got sick. And she passed away, and she was just such an important person in my life that I was, looking for what's a really meaningful way that I could honor her. I don't think this is something you do for just anybody, both people and pets. It's like we can kind of count on one hand which were the relationships that we would really want to have a diamond and, be able to do something this special and have them with us every single day and engage with them every day. And so somebody mentioned this process to me. They blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. And there was another company that I actually went to at the time to start the process. And, I think ultimately the reason I didn't move forward was they weren't asking anything about her. There was no personalization. There was no like, who is this loved one for you? Like, what's your guys' relationship? Let me get to know them. Let me just show you that I really care. And then the transparency around it. And I think that that's really, really important with something like this is like, how do you know your loved one's ashes are going into the diamond? How did they show that? And so wasn't really feeling that. And so that was actually kind of the point at which we said, this is such a beautiful option. And I think if really done right and giving people a beautiful experience and allowing them to be a part of the process and visually see all the different steps of it and, just really making it a personal celebration of their loved one, like that really could make this, quite an experience for someone. So that was how we started Eterniva. This is actually Tracy's diamond that I wear every day. Beautiful. And she was the first one that we made. So really got to design a whole experience, like starting with her and then just get rave reviews from, so many people that not only the diamond at the end is so special, but we hear a lot that the process is very healing. The fact that it takes time, the fact that they get to be getting pictures and videos and updates along that whole journey, it really helps somebody with the healing process as they're grieving.
Right. That was my next question, actually. How does it help with the grieving process? So, it does. So you're going through that journey together. That's why you call it the journey, right? Yeah. So I love that. How long have you been doing this now?
So we started in 2017 was when we were founded. Yep. And at this point, I think we've served about 3,500 families. 40% are pets, are our pet parents and their pets. And so actually, if you visit our facility and our offices in Austin, Texas, we actually hang a Polaroid of every single loved one we've ever honored in our office. And we have an entire wall of just all of our pets. Like it's so cool to see.
That is really, really cool. Yeah, it's kind of like what you can do either with a human or a pet. You keep them close to you, right?
Yes.
So that is what this. I love this idea. What colors can you choose? I mean, you say that Tracy, you have like an onyx.
I have a black diamond for her. Yeah, so
you can
do. Yeah, like we can do colorless, of course, but then we can also do blue, yellow, green, red, black, orange, pink, brown, literally any color. So a lot of our pet parents, like the way that a lot of our families think about it is just like, what is a color that is going to remind me of my relationship of my loved one. So for pets, a lot of the time, so I actually have a Bombay is my kitty. And so I always joke with him. His name is Mamba. I'm like, okay, Mamba, what are you doing to earn your diamond? Like, you know, because like you got to be a good kitty to earn a diamond. And he's an all black cat and has bright yellow eyes. And so I'm like, okay, I think he's going to be a bright yellow diamond because that's just what reminds me of him is just these beautiful yellow eyes. I had a boxer growing up who I love. Unfortunately, I don't have his ashes. If I had the chance, I would have had a brown diamond for him, you know, just based on his coat. So, yeah, I think a lot of people kind of think about it that way.
I would love to see your cat. Is she somewhere around there?
He probably is. We can find him. Yeah, we'll find him at the end.
Okay. And so my other question is, you have this beautiful ring. Do you help with setting the jewelry, ring, earrings, I guess, necklace, anything, right?
We do. Yep, exactly. So majority of our customers look for our support with setting. It's optional. So if you do have a jeweler that you prefer to work with, totally okay. We just do the diamond. Most people want our support. And so we also offer settings as well, which usually happens at the end of the process once the diamond is complete.
Right. So my next question is, if somebody now wants to come to you with the ashes of their pet, how do you get started on the journey? What do you do? And
so when you go on our website, you would basically fill out, you know, kind of that initial get started form. My recommendation is to have a consultation with our team because then you just really get a chance to experience the people behind the company. I think with something like this where, you know, this is your loved one. This is one of the most important relationships in your entire life, your pet. You just want to feel really good that, you know, the company that you're working with has high integrity, that, you know, you just feel like you're going to be cared for. So I think a lot of people just really enjoy talking with our team and they also just like love talking about people's pets and want to hear all the stories and want all the photos. And, you know, we learn a lot about all of our pets that we're honoring. We capture their story internally and we actually share it with our entire team. So everybody that ever works on your diamond knows your pet's story and knows who they are and has a photo and all of that. So anyway, I recommend that. But there's also a path on our website where you can just directly order the welcome kit. So you can either talk to our team and then order the welcome kit or just go ahead and order the welcome kit. And that will have everything that you need to see the different cubic zirconias and also the ability to package up the ashes.
Great. Awesome. So what is your website, please?
Yeah, it's Eterneva, ETERNEV as in Victor, A.com. And then if you wanted the kit, it's just eterneva.com/kit.
Okay, perfect. And the name Eterneva comes from?
It actually, it's two root words, eternal and never forget are, you know, really the ideas that just resonate deeply with us. So
this is really cute. Oh, my last question. How was it to be on Shark Tank?
Oh my goodness. Wild. Absolutely wild. Just, yeah, that was quite an experience. But honestly, I think like as we reflected on it, it was just what was so special about it was we were the first ever end of life company to be on Shark Tank. And I think being able to talk about this topic, like this is something, grief is something that affects all of us. You know, I saw a stat the other day that 75% of Americans are grieving, whether that's a human relationship or a pet relationship. Right. And so for something that is so universal and that we're inevitably all going to experience and go through, to not talk about it is really a shame. And so I think that was what was so special about Shark Tank, was like that was a national stage, having a national conversation about both people and pets. We don't talk like ever about pet grief, you know, and I think that that's really a missed opportunity. People deserve to be given permission that you're allowed to grieve a pet, just like you're allowed to grieve a person. They're just as important of a relationship.
Stay cat crazy.